liebe. Nice to meet you.
So when I do this, start speaking.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to represent Sabesp here at the UNFCCC Pavilion in the heart of COP30 to discuss one of the most crucial and transformative topics of the Global South climate and social agenda: access to water and sanitation. Here at the Amazon COP, a historic moment when the world turns its eyes to water. More than a natural resource, water is the symbol of our independence between climate, life, and dignity. There can be no just transition without water security and sanitation for all. However, in Latin America, over 160 million people still lack access to sanitation service, and 30 million do not have safe drinking water. In Brazil, 16% of the population still lack access to treated water, and 45% still lives without sewage collection, which means that nearly 100 million people are yet to experience the dignity and security that come with full sanitation. The universalization of sanitation is an urgent human imperative, and the state of São Paulo is one of the most populous and industrialized regions of South Hemisphere. Sabesp operates in this vast territory, serving to 28 million people with the goal to achieving universal access to water and sanitation by 2009, 4 years ahead of Brazilian's national target. This journey reflects a conviction: no one achieves universal sanitation alone. It requires cooperation, innovation, and shared governance.
A Sabesp chega ao seu primeiro ano de transformação com o compromisso de investir 70 bilhões de reais até 2029. São milhões de pessoas que agora passam a ser atendidas com tratamento de água e esgoto. Mais saúde, dignidade e qualidade de vida chegando às famílias. É cuidado para o meio ambiente e proteção para rios e mananciais. São 5 milhões de pessoas beneficiadas com tarifa social. Isso significa cidadania, acesso à escola e dignidade para as famílias. Todo o esforço direcionado para levar saúde e saneamento para todos. São números que ajudam a gente a contar essa história. 7.500 empregos gerados entre diretos e indiretos. 800 quilômetros de novas redes de água e esgoto instaladas. E o ritmo segue acelerado. Até 2029, a Sabesp vai universalizar o saneamento no estado de São Paulo. É um desafio histórico que precisa de todos nós. População, parceiros, sociedade civil. Juntos, vamos transformar a realidade de milhões de famílias. Este é o nosso compromisso. Vem com a gente nessa transformação.
With this vision, we open our panel, bringing together voices of Brazil and Chile to turn access to water and sanitation into a genuine policy for the future. I have the pleasure to have here Natália Rezende, Secretary of Environment, Infrastructure and Logistics of the State of São Paulo, and Felipe Sanches, Head of Sustainability of Aguas Andina that operates in Chile. Each represents an essential dimension of this agenda. Public and private sectors, two indispensable pillars to transform the reality of sanitation in South America. So I would start with Natália. Secretary, São Paulo is one of the largest metropolises in Global South, a big territorial with climate contrast. How do you see São Paulo integrate sanitation into a broader urban planning and sustainable territory development agenda, generating social and environment value beyond cover indicating? We know that Sabesp is very compromised with the indicators, but how do you see the sanitation will change the life of people?
Yeah, and I'm sure that Sabesp's project is the main project that we have in the state of São Paulo. But first of all, I would like to thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here and to talk about our climate strategy and how can we deal with it in the sanitation sector. It's a pleasure to be here with you as well. We've studied a lot your way to provide sanitation when we've done the privatization of Sabesp. And when we've arrived in the Secretariat, we've started to deal with how can we improve the climate strategy with a real impact in the life of the population of the state of São Paulo, which has 46 million people and a lot of realities. So we've seen the possibility in the cities, in the municipalities which Sabesp provided the sanitation services to do the privatization of the company and to improve the contract, because we had a lot of contracts with a lot of periods of contracts, a lot of investments which do not match with the plan, the municipalities' plans of sanitation, which did not match with the plan that Sabesp, our agency, was regulating. So we had to improve. And how can we improve? We started to study which was the best regulation to draft in this new contract in the process of privatization. And what you've mentioned, with everyone inside the contract. Why I'm telling this? Because when we studied the old contracts, we saw some areas, for example, Vale do Ribeira. It is a vulnerable area in the state of São Paulo, in which 40% of the population were out of the contract because in this area we have a lot of rural area. Slum areas, Salesópolis, the area, the city where the Tietê, one of our main rivers, born, we had 40,000, more than 44,000 households in the contract, but 3,800 out of the contract. So we had to solve this problem, to solve this challenge. And we've started looking at the regulation and how can we improve this kind of contract, this kind of privatization. Last year, we've done the follow-on, and we've started this new contract, which nowadays, looking what Sabesp did in the 1 year period of the privatization, I have no doubt to affirm that we've done the right thing. And we are talking about 371 municipalities of the state of São Paulo, more than 28 million people, which nowadays have the water security by 2060. A lot of investment. We are talking about 29 billion reais by 2029 to do the so-called universalization with rural areas, with slum areas, with everyone inside the contract, a more robust contract, with a new regulation, which we've studied in Chile, to change the forward-looking regulation to backward-looking regulation, to do more incentive to do the investments. This is very important because we have to do a lot, as shown here in the video, but for example, talking about environment and the pollution of rivers in 2023, Sabesp did 1 billion reais of investment in sewage. Nowadays, we have 20 billion reais just in sewage in execution. And this is very, very relevant because when we are talking about the depollution of Tietê, we have to provide sanitation. By the end of this year, we will take off some kind of 10 billion liters per month of sewage out of the Tietê River, and this is very important for the goal that we've stated, with our governor stated, to do the depollution of Tietê River by 2029. This is part of the strategy that we've drafted in the state of São Paulo, looking at the water resources and how can sanitation be integrated in the cycle. Why I'm telling this? Because we are considering in all of municipalities in the state of São Paulo, the 645 municipalities, and all of the specificities that we have, which are a lot. And nowadays, we are developing PPPs, concessions in the municipalities which are not provided by Sabesp. By the end of the next year, we will do the auctions of these PPPs. We are right now talking to the mayors, the municipalities to see what are the engineer parts that we have to put in these new contracts, which we will do clusters, regional clusters, to consider the logic of water basins, the water resources, and how can we improve the losses of water. This is very important, considering the climate change and considering everything that we put in our climate strategy in the state of São Paulo. So just a brief overview that I would like to share here with you. And again, it's a pleasure to be here and to show, and we are very proud to show how we improve and how can we do this with planning, with a good governance, with a better regulation, and with everybody together? I think this is very important because we are talking to everyone, civil society, the private initiative, everyone to do what I think it's right to reach the universalization, to anticipate the universalization, and to reach the goals of a better environment for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a very good example how we can work together, private and public power, in order to make great transformations. And looking to this, I would like to also ask Felipe about Chilean experience. So, Felipe, what were the milestones that allowed Chile to have the universal sanitation? And what lessons can we apply to other countries where challenges also include urban informality and major social inequalities? Please tell us what were your secrets?
Hello. First of all, thanks for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And yeah, I could tell you the story and highlight some key insights, but I think in the last part of the question, what you could do with them, it's really hard to recommend because it's so specific to each place in the world, the culture, the payment behavior, and so on. It's really hard to make a suggestion, but I will try. So first, regarding the history from sanitation in Chile, it's not only Aguas Andinas, the company I represent, but it's all the country. But there is a cap there because it's not the whole country, but only the urbanization areas. The way we work was with concessions. So we kind of bid the populations, the bigger ones, the denser ones, are easy to have a bidding there because there's a lot of scale economics there, so you can have a return of your investment. But then in other places, not so easy because it's not, the density is not enough to maintain the. So there is some problems with our model, but in overall we have a good coverage. So for instance, 2000, 2002, 2003, we start with the sanitation. We had at that date 3% of coverage of wastewater treatment. And fast forward 10 years, we had 100%. So in 10 years, more or less, we achieved the 100% of coverage. And it's not only coverage, and I say this because a couple of months ago, I was at Lima and at a conference, and they show us data from other countries, and they had also high coverage. But the quality of that coverage wasn't good. So the plant was constructed, it was built, it operates, but the quality that enters the plant was the same as of the effluent. So it doesn't matter if you have the big plant if it doesn't work. So that's also a highlight from the Chile case. The quality that went out of the plant was also okay. And the key insights, how we get there, I think is a couple of enables. First, regulation. You told us that, Natalia. Also, stability. If you had regulations and no politics inside or too near it, you have really an amplitude of opportunities as an operator. And of course, you need a professional operator. It does matter who is operating your infrastructure. So it's not the same to have a company that has a lot of knowledge, technical support, than anyone trying to enter the market. So that's also a key. I had some other stuff here. Yeah, of course. When you have long-term politics here, I don't know. In the case of Aguas Andinas, it's permanent. We don't have 20, 30 years. It's permanent. So we have to do something really, really bad to end the concession. But that allows us to focus on the long term. So we are not thinking 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. We are thinking 50 years. And we know climate change. We are at COP, so of course the question comes from there. Climate change will pose a risk for us, and we have to prepare for that. So we are now preparing the infrastructure for 20, 30, 50 years in the future. So I think that's also a good enablers. And of course, given that, our ratings are really high, so our rates for investment are really low. And that's, of course, easier to have better quality of infrastructure. So I hope I have answered something related
Great.
to your question.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, when we talk about sanitation and universalization, always Chile is someone to look, and thank you for sharing with us. So, Natalia, how do you see innovation and nature-based solution would be important in this process?
Very important. The challenge, I think, it's maybe the costs and maybe the effectiveness. I think this we have to study and to put more in the real life, because for example, when we've established our climate strategy, we've considered these in all of the axes that we've stated. For example, in the transportation sector nowadays, we are considering our toll roads, our highways, with investment, combining the gray infrastructure with nature-based solutions. So in sanitation sector, we have to do more this kind of investment, and to study in which makes sense to do this. When we analyze this basic sanitation, as we've called in Brazil and in many parts of the world, it's a bit different, because basic sanitation in Brazil, we're considering water, sewage, drainage, and solid waste. In many parts of the world, we've sometimes considered just water and sewage. But when you put the drainage into this concept of basic sanitation, and I think it's correct, and the law, even the first sanitation framework from 2007, when we've stated these, we thought, and we have to think, looking at the climate change in the future, how can we put more nature-based solutions, not only in the water and sewage part, but I don't know if mostly, but in the drainage part as well, because we have to improve our cities with more green, and this is important considering the extremes, the dry, the flood, and the nature-based solutions are very important to do this combination with the gray infrastructure, let's say in this way. And this is one thing that every time that I have the opportunity, I provoked and I raise a challenge to the Sabesp team, which is, and I'm sorry to say that, the best teams of sanitation in the world. How can we see more of nature-based solutions in our gray infrastructure? How can we see these in our sewage systems and in our water supply, and we have, as we are facing, and it's normal, and we are facing more and more the scenario of scarcity. The metropolitan region of São Paulo has the scarcity higher than the northwest part of Brazil. But we are preparing for that. And one thing that we have to prepare is to put more nature-based solutions, doing more restoration, doing more parks, as we've announced last week with our governor creating another park, and a park which has a historical feeling with a lot of people in the state of São Paulo, which we will protect more than 10,000 hectares and I think that you appeared in the video of the creation of this park, which we called Morro Grande, in which we have the production of water for more than 400,000 people, and which helps a lot the metropolitan region of São Paulo in water security. And as you've mentioned, looking at not the short term, but especially looking at the short, medium, and long term. That is the reason for everything that we've done in a robust public policy to ensure that looking at the people, not the government, not Natalia or whatever secretary which will occupy this seat. And I think this is the way of sustainability in the concrete life of people in São Paulo.
Thank you. It's clear that São Paulo is combining reality and responsibility with innovation also, and it's great to see it. We will take this challenge. We have here André, who is the production of water office. Let's work on that. Great. So, yeah, he's here close to us just to make this challenge with us. So
I will do this question for him.
yeah.
I want to hear.
So Felipe, how do you see Águas Andina is perceived as share valued, not just a provided service?
I think it's a discussion is being made right now about that.
Because that's something difficult from sanitation, because we do a lot of good stuff that it goes beyond the floor, and
Yes.
nobody sees.
That's right.
And it's hard to show that we really create value for communities, and we are not only a service provider. How is it in Chile? How do you see this challenge in Chile?
Really hard, really challenging. But to answer this, I think I must go back like 20, 15 years, something like that. The water utility concept started with engineers,
Yeah.
no comms persons. So whatever we do inside the companies are really engineer focused. No communication, no marketing, no social value. So starting with the design of the water storage systems, this, I don't know, tanks, elevated storage tanks or vessels or whatever, they're really ugly. Why we do that? Because it's engineering. You need to put the iron, the concrete, and it should work. So starting with that concept, we were focusing all our efforts in being efficient and not to discuss with the people or our neighbors or whatever we have inside our concession. With that in mind, I have to tell you, 2013 in Chile, in Santiago, we had a water shortage for 1.5 days because there was a flooding in our main source of water. This is a river. It's called Maipo River. And it rained in summer. We usually have only rain in winter when it snows in the Andes. But in summer, it rained. And then the whole mountain came as mud. It was awful. I was there that night. It was really awful. You saw the stones floating in that mud. It wasn't water. So it was impossible to treat. At that point, we began to understand that we should have communications with our other stakeholders. And they should see all the efforts we do in the day-to-day life. And 2013, fast forward to now, we have a huge communication area trying to give this sense of all the work we do. It's not transparent, but invisible. It's not there. There's people that still believes that you open the tap water and the water magically flows from I don't know where and goes to your house. And they don't know there is piping network all over the place, pressure pumps, storage tanks, drinking facilities, and also the whole sewage drainage and so on. It's a really huge process, and it's not known. And I think changing that mindset has been really good for us, because then also the regulator understands that there is more work to be done, but not only the infrastructure, the steel, the concrete, and engineering stuff. I'm an engineer, so I know.
Great. So it's a recently movement to change this mindset.
Yeah.
And the relationship with the community changed a lot after this?
Yes. Especially when you have some impacts in the nearby. For instance, if you have a wastewater treatment plant, you could have other problems. And if you don't do that, you will face problems for your operations. People could get angry and take the road and prevent trucks entering your plant. And we have been those problems. So, yeah, it's something you have to go there and talk to the people and communicate what you are doing, and not only in the nearby, but in the whole city, because you are continuously destroying the streets to change the pipes and so on. So you intervene the city day by day. So yeah, we have now a big team to address those issues.
Great. Thank you, Felipe. So, going back to Brazil.
Let's go.
Let's look ahead to 2029. And let's imagine that by this time we have already the universalization and it's already a reality. What do you hope will have changed? Not only in terms of number, but in people's relationship with water, in the appreciation of biodiversity, and how do you see it will design the territory and infrastructure of São Paulo?
It's an interesting question, because I think that I wake up every morning thinking about 2029. It will be a milestone for the state of São Paulo, and it represents health, quality of life, the pollution of our main river, and a dream which becomes reality. I think it's what every day our team of the secretary, team of Sabesp, our governor, everything that we want. Because we've done all of the privatization process to reach that. And not only to reach that, because we have a contract by 2060. So we have a lot of investments to do. But I think it's important to highlight some positive externalities that we will reach. I have no doubt about that. And one of them, as we are in this conference, is the improvement of the environment. When we've calculated with the World Bank about the positive externalities, we've reached the numbers of, and I know that you've mentioned that I have not to talk about numbers, but I will say just a few numbers. 54% less of organic carbon in the river, in Tietê River. This is huge for us because it's a challenge and the state of São Paulo to do the pollution of Tietê River. And with that, as we are in this conference, 51% less than the greenhouse emissions in the atmosphere. We have to talk about this. We have to talk more about the positive externalities that the sanitation sector brings to the population. It's very, very important because the most of time the population sees what you've mentioned about the constructions, the traffic, and the life that sometimes are interrupted by the constructions that the operator is doing. But when you see these positive externalities, we have to highlight more this. In the numbers that I've mentioned, we will reach something like 200,000 of employees directly and indirectly, more than 100,000 billion reais in disease that we will not have because of the sanitation and the profit that we will generate with all of the constructions that Sabesp is doing and what this generates in the society. So, coming back to your question, I think that when we reach 2029, I think that I will call a bit less the Sabesp directors, maybe, but
It's gonna have a party.
I'm sure about that. And we will start a new cycle, and a cycle more related to the water losses and considering the water security as well. Sabesp is doing a lot of investments in water security. In the investment plan, we will reach 5,700 liters per second more than we have nowadays in the system. But we know that we have to do a lot of investment in this in the network. We have a lot of old networks that we have to change, and the second cycle is for do this. And I think this is a problem in many parts of the world. So I will be happy, very, very happy in 2029. I have no doubt that Sabesp will reach universalization. And I will be more happy to do more investment in the second cycle by 2060, because we have a lot of things to do, right? And we have this gorgeous team to do that.
Great. Thank you. It's great to it's not only a dream, but it's something that we are practicing. So be here in this place talking about all the results that we are working to achieve, and listen also to Felipe, that's something very strategic for us. And talking about that, Felipe, we are here to talk about climate change, and we know that this climate change has affected climate resilience and water resilience. How are you dealing with this in Chile? How are you preparing to these risks? And how do you see will be the future for Aguas Andina in this scenario?
It's a bright future, of course. How we're dealing with the climate change? One of the main characteristics of the Chilean model is that it's really dynamic. Each 5 years we have this new tariff process, and that process we describe what is the best operations for the future. So climate change wasn't there a couple of years ago, but in the last negotiations was there. And so any new infrastructure in that direction could be financed by the tariff. For example, a couple of years ago, we built a huge crude water storage tanks called Estanque de Pirque. They're really, really big. They can provide water for almost 2 days, 3 days is well operated for the whole city. So it's really important for us that this kind of projects could be in the tariffs. So that's the first insight. The model allows to have this infrastructure in place. But secondly, we have to develop those projects. It's not so easy because we don't know what's going to be the future. So we have to prepare, and we are having a lot of projects developing right now, and it's called when we have all these projects together, including nature-based solutions, we call them biociudad. It's like a concept where you have all the projects together and you present that to the public opinion in an easier way. But it's not only that. We have climate change problems, but we also have demographic problems. In recent years, the nitrogen has risen a lot in the consumption of the people. We are eating more meat, proteins, and therefore the quality of the water is entering the plant has changed a lot. So we have been dealing with that with new infrastructure, also in the tariffs. So it's something is really each year there is a new challenge, and we must face it with innovations and new processes. But I think our future is bright. So it can summarize in that way.
Thank you. We had a conversation yesterday at Veolia's house about the connection between sanitation and climate adaptation, and this challenge that is but also from public sector. And this partnership, I think it's important because then we can work in more strategic projects together. So thank you, Felipe. Well, we have only 5 minutes. I don't know if someone in the floor would like to have a question here to our guests. Yes?
Hello. So sorry, English is not my first language, so I will read it to make sure I'm clear.
Could you present yourself?
for sure.
Tell us where are you from?
Okay.
And
So
your
my name is João Piedrafita. I'm a Brazilian. I'm a co-founder of Água Camelo, a startup that provides access to safe drinking water across Brazil. Today we deliver potable water daily to over 125,000 people in 22 states. One of them is São Paulo. We work with major private companies such as Ambev, Coca-Cola, Nestle, Amazon. also with public institutions like the Ministry of Health. However, we often face significant challenges due to bureaucracy in different areas of government departments. For example, we already have funding secured to bring safe drinking water to 22 schools in São Paulo that we currently have no access, uh, uh, but we haven't able to get any response from the State Secretariat of Education, and we are trying a lot, like almost 2 months. On the other hand, we already shown both state and private concessionaires that working with startups like ours is not a sign of inefficiently, but a commitment to innovation and acceleration of the impact that we know its urgency. Yet we still haven't able to move forward for any concrete projects with Sabesp. From our perspective, São Paulo seems to be one of the most bureaucratic states for implementing public-private partnerships and innovation in water sector. So I want to ask you, what can we do to work together and facilitate not just us, but all the market that we can work with? Thank you.
Great.
Okay, thank you. João?
Thank you.
João? Nice to meet you, João. First of all, I would like to see the demand of the Education Secretariat because I will see what you need and whatever the secretary has to answer for your question. Okay. After this, I will get the question. Just to do a brief overview, when in the beginning of the 2023, we've launched our investment partnership program, which we've estimated in something like 220 billion reais of investment. Nowadays, we've already signed 357 billion reais because we've created a framework to provide more legal certainty, stability, more predictability, and to attract more investments to the state of São Paulo. One of the axes of this investment partnership program is the water sector, water resources and sanitation, and we've done the privatization because of that, because we want more efficient. This is the key for whatever we are doing in the secretariats and in the projects of the state of São Paulo. We have the privatization of Sabesp. As I've mentioned, we are doing right now the clusters of more PPPs to, by the end of the next year, do more concessions. And we are modeling, we are drafting as well a dredging project, a PPP, and sponsored, 100% sponsored PPP, which we will do the dredging of 182.9 kilometers of the Tietê River, beginning in Salesópolis to Pirapora in the median Tietê, and in 27 kilometers of Pinheiros River to do this, the dredging, and to do more restoration, to put more nature-based solution in a 15-year period of contract, which we've put in public hearing. And it's another opportunity, if you want to see a bit more, just to share, as you've mentioned about opportunities in the state of São Paulo with Sabesp, of course, and I think that now, because of the privatization, they have more flexibility to do this kind of negotiations with more private parties, and it accelerates a lot the contracts and the projects that they are doing, and the state of São Paulo, the Secretariat, is open to talk a bit more about our project, our investment partnership program, and to solve the demands as you've mentioned about the Education Secretariat. It will be a pleasure.
From my side, I would like also to see your project. Thank you, João. Any other question for our panelists? No? Well, so I would like to thank Natalia, Felipe. One more? Okay. One last.
Hello, my name is Camilo Prats from Chile. I'm from a Chilean consultancy in climate change. So my question is to Felipe. Well, in Chile, we are developing a huge framework, a new legislation about climate change. So my question is, which is your opinion of all this new legislation that we have now, and how the sanitary sector is considered in all the, I don't know, sectoral plans or all the small plans that we have, like regional plans, municipality plans. So how do you deal with that, and what's your opinion about that framework? Thank you.
Hi, Camilo. Good question. And I will say it differs from plan to plan because not all the regulations go directly to all the facilities. So, for instance, of course, La Farfana and Mapocho Tribal, they're the biggest plants, 9 cubic meters per second. They both have the regulations of climate change, that is emissions, energy efficiency, water quality, and so on. It's more strict than in other places. Yeah, that's a fact. And you don't request that from smaller plants because it's really hard to finance those new processes. And the marginal benefit of that, it's not so high. So it's better to go for the big plants at first and then go to the smallers. I think right now only those two have regulations on them, and eventually the smaller ones will be in that concept. For instance, the electric sector changed the limit to request energy as a free client, so you can negotiate directly with the electrical utility, and they lowered the threshold, so it's easier now to access to renewable energy direct from the grid. That wasn't that 2 years ago, for instance. So there are small steps going that direction, but yeah, of course, you have to prioritize the big ones and then go to the smaller ones.
So, thank you, Felipe. Thank you, Natalia. I think our time has passed, but I'm very happy to have this conversation with you and to work with Natalia in this project that goes far until 2060, but with this party in 2029, where we will celebrate the universalization, and Felipe will be with us
I want to be
celebrate
invited.
this target. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.